Hello, welcome back to the channel. Leave your city, state, and your business name in the comments and we'll be sure to shout you out on a later video. This video is kind of near and dear to my heart. I really don't ever get super opinionated because I think there's a lot of ways to do a lot of things. But I like to dispel a couple myths here about kind of a trope that's been going on for a while in the beauty business more than any other kind of business that I've ever seen. And I've been exposed to other businesses and kind of take part in other stuff as well. But never more than in this business do I hear this idea that we're not in competition. So I just really want to take some time and kind of tear down this myth. Competition is not something that you have to view through a negative lens, so to speak. It just is the thing that it is. And when you decided to get involved in business, you've just decided to get involved in competition. That doesn't mean that you have to be ugly or nasty or any kind of way negative. It just means that you now put yourself in a realm to compete for something in an entrepreneurial space. Not that you didn't compete for the same type of way when you were competing for a job, when you worked for someone. So I'm just gonna go through some points about competition and try to get your mind to kind of change, because I don't wanna come off as condescending, but I think it bears purpose for you to kind of understand what you're in and that you actually are in a competition and how to conduct yourself in it. Because then all of this will kind of just be okay, because it's okay to be in competition. It's what you've chosen to be in. So here we go. The first thing obviously is that you're not in competition. That's the first myth. Well, I can bust this myth right off by the fact that we're competing for market share. And I'll talk about that in a whole other video and probably several times as we talk to each other and get to know each other. Market share is simply the percentage of the market that you have for that service that you provide in the region that you're in. So if you do nails in Stockton, California, well, you may have 2% of everyone that gets their nail done in Stockton, California. You may have 4%, you may have 18%, someone else may have 64%. Considering that you think of market share as a pie, that's a finite thing. It's not infinite, meaning there's only so much pie. How much of it are you gonna get? That's the market share conversation, and that's what you have to compete for. So the second thing, which kind of dovetails a little bit on the first one, is that there's enough out here for all of us. And I hear this all the time in beauty circles, kind of online. There's this idea that there's enough for everybody. Well, let's go back to the pie situation. There's only so much pie. And if you've managed, and we'll look at it from a you-centric view. If you've managed to get 4% of market share in Stockton, California for someone that does nails, understand that you took that 4% from other businesses that had that 4%. They may not have all came from the same business, but you took market share. You just did. You may not like to view it that way, or maybe that's too, I don't know, maybe that's too aggressive of a way to look at it, but that's exactly what happened. Well, that give and take in market share is what we're all the time competing for. And that's why there simply isn't enough for everybody. Because if it were that true, it wouldn't be a pie. It would just be an infinite void of people that are always trying to get stuff done, that are absolutely happy to just hand you money to do what it is that you do. The third idea is a little bit of an offshoot, but it kind of sends the same message, and it says, collaborate, don't compete. Now, these are really apples and oranges kind of statement. They're just put in the same statement, so it seems like the sentence makes sense. I would never say to not collaborate, ever. What I will say is collaborate in a smart way. Collaborate with businesses that complement your business. I don't believe in collaborating with businesses that do the same thing that I do. What's the point in that? I'm competing. We want to be the only place that people go. That's the point. Will we ever get there? Probably not. Do we even have the capacity to see that? Absolutely not. But that's what I want, and I approach everything that I do in that way. So collaborating with another place that does waxing and skincare just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because where is the good gonna come from that? And when I say good, I mean, how do I increase my revenue by collaborating with a place that does exactly what I do? I will collaborate with places that complement my business. So just an example, if I know a place has events, maybe during the daytime, that I know women in my target group frequent, I will absolutely try to collaborate with that establishment to get my advertisements in those ladies' face so that they may be a part of my business, and I'll find a way to add value to that business to do for them doing that for me. That's a collaboration, but there's no competition there because we don't do the same thing. And so that's kind of all I have to say on that. Just understand, collaboration, not competition. It's not really a real statement. It doesn't really make a lot of sense in the business world. This last one is kind of an odd one as well. I'm my own competition, or there is no competition but myself. Now, this is a very true statement, but this comes out of the self-help world. It doesn't come into play in the business world. For instance, when I played basketball, I would be an amazing 85% shooter when I was in practice, and then I would get to games and I would only shoot like 25%. And no one really understood why. Why is it that this guy can shoot so good in practice but not so good during the game? Well, that was an internal problem that I had to realize, that in that regard, I am my biggest competition, because I'm the one, something's going on in my head that makes me not perform when I need to, but I have no problem performing when it's in a practice setting. But that in no way means at all that during the game, even after I fixed that problem, because I did fix that problem, but that didn't take away from the fact that somebody's hand was in my face trying to stop me from making that shot. Just because I have an internal struggle doesn't mean that there isn't external competition, because there is. And that's just something that I need you to think about, to try to not meld those two worlds together of internal fight and external fight. And by fight, I just mean competition. We in this channel are all about competition, and we understand that once you get involved in business, that's what you're in, and we're up for it. And I think you should be, and I want to encourage you to be up for it. Be absolutely up for the competition, because that's the only way you're going to know if you're gaining market share. Market share is how we know winners and losers. You got into something that takes score, and there's no getting out of it unless you get out of business. Hope you got a little bit of value from this. Talk to y'all next week.